Liturgical Centers, Chapter 4. Worship, why church things were set at the place we see them. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the center of our worship. We know Jesus is with us in the Word and Sacrament. Our faith leads us to act and praise our responses joyfully, noticing God is our God. Praise is our first language to communicate with God. Our second language is theology. Talking about worship and what happens in worship. We need both praise and theology for our worship. Today, church people understand more and more that worshiping together is the center of Christian church life. When we appreciate how we worship, then we need to notice how we can build and establish our church for worship. The place of the people, the first Christians, worship together in a house. The church is people, not a building. Today, again, we focus on the church as people gathered around God's Word and Sacrament. Then we understand how we arrange space for worship. As we arrange worship life, we think of the three most important places. 1, for baptism. 2, for reading and preaching God's Word. 3, for the Lord's Supper. The place of baptism. Notice the place of baptism in church history. The first Christians baptized people like John. Did in the Jordan River. Later, when people worshipped, in larger house churches they used rectangular pools inside. After 300 AD, Christians built baptism houses separate from the church building. Those were copied from the burial martyria. They were round with 6 sides or 8 sides. The 6 sides help people remember Jesus died on the 6th day, Friday. The 8 sides symbolize the 8 members of Noah's family, saved in the flood. Jesus also rose from the dead on the 8th day, Sunday. Baptism joins us with Jesus in his death and resurrection. When people came for baptism, they knelt. Or stood in the baptismal pool. The worship leader poured water over their heads. The water was flowing like a river. During the Middle Ages, the church's large baptismal pools were replaced with smaller baptismal fonts, and less water was used.